This is absolutely insane, but it's a topic that a lot of Mavericks fans are divided on. Some people want to see this trade go through, while others want to just avoid any trades, let their team build chemistry and cohesiveness as we prepare for the future. And the trade that I'm talking about involves Daniel Gafford, as his name's been in the rumor mill over the last season and a half, and not that most fans don't want Daniel Gafford, but they see him as a trade bait, someone that we can put out in the market to try to get something else in return to help us in other avenues. While other fans don't want to trade Daniel Gafford, they want to keep the landlord and not have to rely on subpar centers to have to fill in his shoes. So in this video, we're going to take a look at an article that came out just the other day highlighting a convoluted trade scenario where we send out Daniel Gafford and we get nothing in return, as well as what are some fans also suggesting that we get in return for Daniel Gafford. But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavericks Digest, bringing you the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started with today's video, we have only 46.1% of our viewers not subscribed to the channel. What are y'all doing? It's the summer. It's off season. I know a lot of you guys are back to school. The season is right around the corner. We got the preseason and the regular season. And if you want to be up to date on everything Mavericks related, you got to hit that sub button, and I'd appreciate it greatly. And before we get into today's video, I need everybody to understand that we have a luxury. For the longest time, at least for the last 10 years it feels like, we have not had a serviceable big man rotation like we've had over the last 2 seasons. We had to rely on Boban Marjanovic, who I absolutely loved, but Boban is not a top center, nor has he ever been a top center. He's just been freakishly tall. We also had to rely heavily on Dwight Powell, and although I am a fan of Dwight Powell, I am the chairman of the Dwight Powell fan club, as I know some of you are also part of that fan club. But in all seriousness, relying on Dwight Powell in this day and age, in the big age of 2025, is something I'm not prepared to see, especially with Cooper Flagg, especially with Anthony Davis, all these other great players, as we are trying to stay competitive. But for some odd reason, a lot of fans out there think that, hey, if we trade away Daniel Gafford, we could get another player back that could help us out even more than Daniel Gafford. Okay, yeah, we got Derrick Lively. Sure, he's somewhat injury prone, but we got Dwight Powell for backup, or we could get another backup big that can replace Daniel Gafford's production, which is absolutely insane. I've talked about it heavily on this channel, how much Daniel Gafford means to this team. The fact that him and Derrick Lively are 1A and 1B, where in my last video I talked about how some fans feel like Derrick Lively should be the starter, where other people think Daniel Gafford should be the starter because they're that much similar. Some have strengths in other areas than the other player, but together we have one of the best big man rotations. And when you throw in Anthony Davis, who will be a big man part-time at the 5, that's an absolute luxury, especially when you look at the Western Conference and how it's all stacked up. But that doesn't stop people from proposing crazy trades to try to get rid of Daniel Gafford, as if having a good big man rotation isn't as important. If we take a look at this article that dropped just the other day, NBA trade idea sends Dallas Mavericks Daniel Gafford to Toronto Raptors. And if you haven't been paying attention, the Raptors are going through a very weird moment right now. They just fired Masai Ujiri. They promoted Bobby Webster. Apparently, some people didn't like the Brandon Ingram trade. Some people didn't like their draft pick. The Raptors are going through a lot right now. But if we take a look at this article, this is their trade scenario, which is absolutely ridiculous. The Dallas Mavericks will get LeBron James, Bronny James, Andre Jackson Jr., Tyler Smith, and Drew Timme. The Lakers, because obviously we just love doing deals with the Lakers, they'll get Giannis Antetokounmpo, Omax, Tyrese Maxey, $4 million in trade exception, and another $2 million trade exception. The Bucks will get RJ Barrett, PJ Washington, Caleb Martin, Najee Marshall, a $2 million trade exception, the 2026 first-round swap rights from the Lakers, the 2026 Lakers second-rounder via the Raptors, 2028 first-round swap rights from the Lakers, the 2030 first-round swap rights from the Lakers, a 2031 first-rounder from the Lakers, and a 2032 first-round swap rights from the Lakers. The Toronto Raptors get Daniel Gafford in $13.3 million trade exception, and the Brooklyn Nets get Dalton Knecht, Jaden Hardy, and Dwight Powell. There is so much wrong with this convoluted 5-team trade where it feels like everybody is just shuffling around picks and players, but only one team really benefits. And I'm not going to break down that entire trade because it's a nothing burger. That is just somebody who has way too much time on his hands, but it's still a topic that Mavericks fans need to talk about because this isn't something new. We have seen and heard Daniel Gafford's name being brought up in trade rumors and what teams are looking for. We saw over the summer, Lakers fans were salivating at the fact that they thought they could get Daniel Gafford until we got him on a contract extension. Now, even though we got him on a contract extension, it's not necessarily set in stone. It is set in stone as far as that is his extension, but it's a 3-year deal, no player or team option at the end of that deal, which leaves the door open for a possible trade. And there's nothing wrong with that. We don't want to be handcuffed to some of these players, although we do love them. If down the road a deal or a trade needs to happen, we want to make sure it's easier for us and not impossible where we have to add draft capital or more players that we don't necessarily need to. But that trade just absolutely doesn't make sense. And I know I said I'm not going to break down all of it, but if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, first of all, the Brooklyn Nets currently have 19 players on their roster. So sure, they're going to make a trade where they send out barely anybody and they get back 3 players. Doesn't make any sense. On draft night, they drafted 5 rookies in the first round. And I don't know what they're going to do with them. So this is all over the place. We don't get better by getting rid of Najee Marshall, PJ Washington. We get rid of Dwight Powell, Jaden Hardy, Caleb Martin, and Daniel Gafford. We get back LeBron James, Bronny James Jr., Andre Jackson Jr., Tyler Smith, and Drew Timme. Absolutely insane. I've seen Mavericks fans cook up better trade ideas than this, and we're going to look at one later in this video. But this is just absolutely ridiculous. But just continuing with the article, they try to explain, Pincus, the writer of this article, created this enormous NBA trade idea because LeBron's future with the Lakers is up in the air, and Antetokounmpo is still evaluating his future with the Bucks. There was a report earlier today how his future with Milwaukee is still up in the air until he comes back from Eurobasket, that whole drama. But LeBron, 40, would have to request a trade for this NBA trade idea to work since he has a no-trade clause in his contract. Gafford appeared in 57 games for the Mavericks last season. He averaged 12.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.4 steals, and 1.8 blocks while shooting 70.2% from the field and 68.9% from the free throw line. The 26-year-old recorded 8 double-doubles. The Mavericks signed Gafford to a 3-year, $54.4 million extension on July 12th. The big man will make $14.4 million next season. His extension kicks in during the 26-27 season, so next season. Gafford has played for the Chicago Bulls, Washington Wizards, and Mavericks. He enters next season with career averages of 9.3 points, 5.6 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 0.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. He turns 27 on October 1st. So, anyway, this is a crazy, again, convoluted and just weird way to try to get Daniel Gafford to another team, and that involves 5 other teams. Absolute madness. But like I said, the Mavericks, as well as Daniel Gafford, no strangers to hearing his name float around trade rumors last season. His name was floating around for Herb Jones, which prompted all Mavericks fans to believe that, yes, we should trade Daniel Gafford for Herb Jones. That's what we should do. And Herb Jones was pretty much out for the majority of last season with an injury. There's no real report on his return to start the next season, so that probably isn't something that we need to worry ourselves with. But like I said, having Daniel Gafford alongside Derrick Lively, alongside Anthony Davis is very, very important for the Dallas Mavericks to keep together while the West is the way it is. A lot of teams made moves over the summer to get bigger. The 2 big man lineup is a thing in the West. The Dallas Mavericks getting rid of Daniel Gafford and not getting anybody that can match that production would be foolish of us, especially something as crazy as a 5-team trade that obviously favors the Milwaukee Bucks is just absolutely crazy. But like I said, some fans think that they can also trade Daniel Gafford and come out with a better outcome. If we take a look right here, shout out to Knife Talk Mavs, but he's always trying to trade Daniel Gafford, so we got a little bit of beef. But he tweeted this out the other day saying, would y'all make this trade? The Mavericks will get Derrick White and Neemias Queta, sorry if I mispronounced his name, and we will send to the Boston Celtics Daniel Gafford, Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy, and 2 first-round picks. One in 2026, and another one in 2029 via the Lakers, one we got in the Luka trade. And I'm saying no this as well. Daniel Gafford for Queta, that's something that I'm looking at right there. Obviously, Derrick White is a great guard, someone that would obviously elevate the Dallas Mavericks, so I get that. I totally get that. Caleb Martin, a lot of people want him gone. Some people think that he can still be serviceable. I don't think so. And Jaden Hardy is another player who's been shopped literally all season long. But if I break this trade down to what's most important, I'm giving up Daniel Gafford and 2 first-round picks for Derrick White. Neemias Queta, who is about a year or two older than Daniel Gafford, who does not put up the numbers nor has the defensive presence of Daniel Gafford, is not going to replace that production. We're going to rely heavily on Derrick Lively, who was injured not for the full first 2 seasons, but he's been dealing with injuries in his first 2 full seasons, and a lot of people aren't ready to give him that full-time center role just yet. Derrick White would be great alongside Kyrie until Kyrie returns. Let's say we made this trade today. He alongside D'Angelo Russell. Yeah, that would be great. Derrick White is a good player. But giving up 2 first-round picks and Daniel Gafford for Derrick White, knowing that we're going to have a hole in our center position, just isn't something that I'm willing to do. Now, if this trade was a little bit different and Jaylen Brown's coming back, okay, we can talk about it. The Dallas Mavericks don't need to make any trades where we help other teams more than we help ourselves. We're not in the business of helping anybody but the Dallas Mavericks. And all the moves that we've been making this summer with the front office, Nico Harrison's been doing a pretty good job. Don't want to give him too much credit, but he's been doing a pretty good job and making sure that we are putting the Mavericks first and making every move necessary for Cooper Flagg's future, because ultimately that's what's most important. But at the end of the day, Daniel Gafford signed his extension. He is the Dallas Maverick. There's no need to try to trade him right away. Down the line, who knows what happens. PJ Washington should be up for his extension anytime now. We're definitely going to cover that whenever it happens. So make sure you guys are subscribed and let me know in the comment section down below. Would you trade Daniel Gafford for Derrick White? Would you also attach 2 first-round picks knowing we ain't got a lot of those in our bag right now? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We can have a conversation about it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for being part of the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. And as always, y'all take care. Drink water. Peace.